Blog Talk Radio.
Mi chiamo KA-KAIT Neye AMANSEM da Medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Ptah Akhan Akwamuman Amaruka Atifi Odwiraman. Greetings to all KA-KAIT people, many African black people today. It's AMANSEM Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Ptah Akhan. Odwirafo of the Akwamu nation in North America within Odwiraman, the purified nation, KA-KAIT people in the Western Hemisphere. Did I say we thank you once again for tuning into the broadcast. We are opening up the chat room. As the chat room opens up, if you have any questions or comments in the chat room, you must log in as a user in order to interact in the chat room. If you have any questions or comments on the phone line, simply hit the number 1 so that we can see that your hand is raised, and then we can interact on the phone line. And we're going to reboot the chat room. Blog Talk has been having an issue with the chat room for the past just about over a week now, so we're going to reboot that. And as that is opening up, for those who are new to the broadcast, we have 4 broadcasts on a weekly basis. We have Akhan ancient, authentic Akhan ancestral religion on Joda Monday night, where we deal specifically with the Akhan expression of ancestral religion, first and foremost because we are Akhan, secondly because of the misinformation being propagated, not only in this hemisphere regarding Akhan ancestral religion and cosmology and culture, ritual practice, but also misinformation coming from those in Ghana, Ivory Coast, on the continent who've been infected with white culture, and therefore their presentation of ancestral religion, culture, cosmology has been infected by that white cultural influence. So therefore, we're dealing with our ancient, authentic Akhan ancestral religion, going back to our ancestral culture of ancient Kanat, which is a title of ancient Nubia. Our people migrated from Kanat to West Africa, maintained the Kanat or Khan Empire, reestablished that in the western empire of Ghana a couple of thousand years ago. 1,000 years later, approximately, some of our people migrated from that region further south to reestablish the Akhana Empire or Akhan Empire. Then our people in the Forest Belt region a few hundred years later during the the Great Diversity, the enslavement era, some of our people were forced into the Western Hemisphere, North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe. During the enslavement era, this is how we ended up as Akhan people in the Western Hemisphere. We maintained our ancestral religious practices, tradition in the Western Hemisphere, and thus Akhan religion survives and thrives. In Suriname and South America, you have wheat tea, which is the Akhan tradition in Suriname. In Jamaica, you have Obia, the Akhan tradition in Jamaica. In North America, in the United States, we have Kudu, which is the Akhan ancestral religion in the United States. Kudu comes from the Akhan term Udu, which means medicine from plant life, mineral life, and so forth, but it also means to become heavy with the spirit through conjure, through kanche, become possessed by the abosom, the force of nature, become possessed by the nananon instamanko, the spiritually cultivated ancestors and ancestors. And we've talked about how we've maintained not only the tradition, but work empowered and guided through hoodoo to wage war against the whites and their offspring, force the end of enslavement in the Western Hemisphere, and thrive as an Akwamu people. We deal with that kind of information on Joda Monday night. On Abinada Tuesday nights, we have Ujira, which means purification. We deal with ancestral religion in general, not just the Akhan expression, but ancestral religion in general, and how it impacts every aspect of our lives. Ancestral religion is the ritual incorporation of divine law, the ritual restoration of divine balance. That means through ritual we incorporate those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to incorporate in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. And through ritual, we reject those things, objects, deeds, and entities we need to reject in order to realign our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order to restore balance to our lives. So the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance, these are the expansive and contractive codes of ancestral religion. Ojira purification operationalizes nanason, operationalizes our practice of ancestral religion. The ritual incorporation of divine law, the ritual restoration of divine balance. It is by this means that we execute and perpetuate our culture. Our culture, our amandre, is the divine acceptance, the law or love of order, and the divine rejection, divine hatred, repulsion of disorder and its purveyor. We accept that which is in harmony with order. We reject that which will keep us or place us out of harmony with order. So this is what we deal with regard to culture. Ancestral religion impacts every aspect of our lives. Every thought, intention, and action we seek to align with divine order every moment of every day. That is our culture. When we make mistakes, then we engage the ritual practice of incorporating law and restoring balance so that we can realign our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order every moment of every day. So we show through various texts, ritual practices of ancient Kanat, as well as the ritual practices of KA-KAIT, language, culture, as well as in the Western Hemisphere. Our ancestral religious practice informs every moment of every day of our lives. So this is what we do on the Ojira broadcast on Benada, Abenada, Tuesday night. On Awukuda or Akuada, which is Wednesday, we have Egua, which means marketplace. We showcase Afurakani businesses, organizations, and institutions, those who are serving the Afurakani community, those who maintain their ancestral religious values in the process of their service to the community. We showcase these businesses, and we also have published the Akhan economic development model, which is an economic development model rooted in our ancestral religious values. Part of that process is to starve the beast and feed the pride. That means on a weekly basis, you make a determination regarding what funds you would have potentially wasted with the whites and their offspring, starve the beast, and feed the pride. We take those funds away from the white business and redirect them to the business, organization, or institution of the week. We target one Afurakani business, organization, or institution per week for optimal capital infusion. So, of course, when you starve the beast and feed the pride, reallocate $10 or $15 away from a white business in the course of a week and redirect it to the business of the week. That's a transfer of $10 to $15 to that black business. When 1,000 of our people engage that process, then that's a transfer of $10,000 to $15,000 away from a white business or a series of white businesses into the account of a particular black business. That allows them, that infusion of $10,000 to $15,000 in the course of 7 days allows them to hire black people immediately within the community, in the business, expand their products and services to us immediately, and therefore we are served at a great capacity. They can expand. It's a win-win situation if we do not engage that process. We leave that $10,000 to $15,000 in the hands of our absolute enemies, the whites and their offspring. They serve themselves, they empower themselves, they enrich themselves, and we remain in poverty or suffering financially. There are over 2 million black people unemployed. We have nearly 2 million black businesses in America. If every black business hired one person, unemployment will be over. We have the capacity to do so. If we transfer those hundreds of billions of dollars we spend with the whites and their offspring and redirect it simply to black business, it simply is a choice that we have to make. The means by which we make that choice is through purification of our sunsum, our spirit, realigning ourselves with our kra, our kawa, our soul, our divine consciousness. When we engage in culture and ancestral religion, we realign ourselves. the ritual incorporation of divine law, the ritual restoration of divine balance. When you realign yourself with divine order, with reality, then it's instinctive. You have a natural inclination, a propensity, a natural drive to support your own people and reject your enemies. You don't have to be taught that. It's instantaneous. And you always look for opportunities to do so. This is why culture is important and key to economic development. When people say we just need to focus on economics so we can generate some money, people have been talking about that for over 100 years. It has not taken place. The logic that, yes, we have the money, we spend over $1 trillion in the course of a year, but we give 95% of it, over $950 billion away to the whites and their offspring, and only spend less than 5% in our own business. Logically, that doesn't make sense. Logically, you give that explanation and people say, yes, that is a problem. But why don't they act on the logic? Because they've been programmed by white society to embrace and value the whites and their offspring and reject and hate themselves. When you realign yourself spiritually, realign yourself with your divine function, the function you've been given by the Supreme Being to execute in creation, once you realign yourself spiritually, you consume your spirit with your kawa, your ka-et. Then you have that natural inclination that's awake. And you have a natural drive, a natural pull, inclination, propensity to support Akwamu business. So culture is key to that. Until we embrace culture, we will simply be talking about we need to engage in cooperative economics. We'll be saying that for the next 100 years. The brainwashed think culture is not important. The intelligent recognize that culture is essential because culture means way of life. So this is what we deal with on Egua Marketplace. And on today is Yada Thursday, also called Yada and Abada Thursday. We have AMANSEM, our broadcast AMANSEM, which means affairs of the nation, affairs of the Oman. We designate Akwamu people, African black people in the Western Hemisphere as Odwiraman, the purified Jira Oman nation, mind, Western Hemisphere, land of the setting sun. And as you can met, the term Jira means purification. It also means a celebrated ceremony of purification. In the Akhan language, Jira means purification. It also means a celebrated ceremony of purification. And as you can met, mind means a nation, polity, state, region, and so forth. Mind also means land of the setting sun, the west. In the Akhan language, Oman means nation. Mind also means land of the setting sun, the west. So Odwiraman means the purified, Jira, Oman, nation, Oman, west, land of the setting sun. We are a nation of people who have been fused together, blending our blood circle, blending our ancestral clans, interfacing in this region of the western region of the Earth Mother's body. And since we have interfaced with her in this region, the fertile Earth Mother, Aakhuamuman, interfaced with her in this region of her body, the western region, we've blended blood circles in this region. We have developed and forged a locative identity rooted in our interfacing with the abosom, the forces in nature as they manifest in the western region of the Earth Mother, and also blending spirit genetic blood circles, physically, as well as the reincarnation of specific spirits from specific blood circles, matriclans and patriclans, into this blended blood circle, into this collective in the Western Hemisphere. So we are Odwiraman, the purified nation, Akwamu people in the Western Hemisphere. So AMANSEM is affairs of the nation, and we deal with different things that are coming up that are affecting us as a people, issues, current events, as well as events that we are promoting to fuse our people together so we can work together as a collective. So this is why we want to talk about tonight our event coming up this Saturday, December 17th, here in Washington, D.C. It is the KA-KAIT Soul Food Odwiraman Communal Gathering. Now the term Ka and Ka'et in the language of ancient Kanat, Kemet, so-called Nubian Egypt, Ka and Ka'at are the male and female terms for the soul. The soul, in reality, is a deity. A male deity if you're male, a female deity if you're female, who takes up a residence in the head region of the Aakhuamuman man and Aakhuamuman woman. Only Aakhuamuman people, African black people, have a Ka or Ka'at, a soul, a deity that actually dwells in the head region, a deity that you can communicate with, and he or she will communicate back to you. A deity that takes up residence in the head region is installed in the head region, directed by Nyamewa, Nyameo, Amen, prior to your incarnation into the world, to dwell with you in your head region and guide you throughout the course of your life, show you what your function in the world is to execute. What kind of cell within the great divine body of the Supreme Being are you? What is your function within the great divine body? You have a specific function, just like every cell that is a part of an organ or organ system within your body has a specific function within that organ or organ system, and therefore a specific function to execute within the body. That's its function, that's its quote-unquote destiny or life focus. We are cells within the great divine body of Aminet and Amen, the great mother and great father, Supreme Being. We therefore have a specific function to execute within the great divine body. We're part of one of those divine organs or organ systems, one of the abosom, the divinity, or organs within the great divine body of the Supreme Being. Within your soul, within the deity, the force that dwells in your head region, your spirit's brain, it's encoded your function that you are to execute in the world. This is why you have a pull in your head towards certain thoughts, intentions, and actions. It's pulling you towards that which is in harmony with your function. This is the term Ka and Ka'at. It's called Kra and Krawa and Akhan. The male and female terms for soul or divine consciousness. In the Yoruba tradition, it is the Ori, Inu, the inner Ori, the inner head, the divinity that dwells in the head region, that guides you to your divine function or life focus of destiny, so-called destiny. It's called the Selido in Vodun, the deity, the Vodou that dwells in the head region. It is called the Chi in Igbo, the deity, the Arusi, the divinity that dwells in the head region, that leads you to your divine function every moment of every day. This is what the Ka and Ka'at is. However, the reason why we named the event Ka and Ka'at as well is because not only does Ka and Ka'at mean soul or divine consciousness, the term Ka and Ka'at also means, with a different determinative spelled in the Medusa, the hieroglyph, it means food or food offering. So we're having Ka-Ka'at, soul, Ka and Ka'at, but also food or food offering, Ka-Ka'at. So when we talk about offering in a ritual sense, in our ancestral practices, ritual practices, wherever we exist in the world, from thousands of years ago up into this very moment, there's a ritual process, there's a transference of energy when we engage the process of giving up. So, for example, we described this process in one of our publications. We have an excerpt from it on our Achidie page on our website. We also have it in our Odwiraman in our publication that we released in June when we had our Odwiraman conference, the Odwiraman Purified Nation, Aakhuamuman People in the Western Hemisphere conference, with a conference on nationism, the purification of nationalism. That is one of our annual conferences. That one happens around June 21st, around the summer solstice. We had our first annual conference this year with that. In that book that we released on that day, we included this information. If you go to the Achidie page, we have that information as well with regard to the nature of giving offerings. We'll put that link in the chat room right quick for people to check out. Okay, we just posted that in the chat room. So on that page, we're talking about the term Hetep, and Hetep is called Chetet in Akhan, Achete, or Achedie, which means peace, but it also means offering. We show the Medut, the hieroglyph for that. But then we talk about the nature of offering. We're talking about the term Hetep referring to peace, but we also talk about ritual offering. So we say in the language of Kemet, the term Hetep refers to peace, harmony, yet it is also used as a term for ritual offering. KA-KAIT culture, it is customary to give ritual offerings to the Akhan for honorable ancestors and ancestors, and to the Abosom, which is the Akhan term for deities, goddesses, and gods, divine spirit forces in nature. So we give ritual offerings to the the ancestors and ancestors spiritually cultivated, and the Abosom, the forces in nature. The same as that Gungun and Orisha in the Yoruba tradition, Kubito and Vodou and so forth. It must be understood that ritual actions in KA-KAIT culture are never merely symbolic but are always functional. There is a measurable transfer of energy and unearthing of consciousness affected through a feedback system by the ritual giving of offerings. This transfer is akin to the transfer of energy affected through the consumption of food. The chemical response of your organs and organ systems as the nutrients of the food are digested and disseminated are measurable. The chemical response to a holistic diet is a healing and empowering response, not merely symbolic, but functional. In essence, the act of ritual offering is designed to provoke the necessary units of energy and frames of reference, conscious awareness necessary to align or realign the spirit of the KA-KAIT individual, the African-like individual, with his or her KA-KAIT soul divine consciousness. When such alignment is offered, for affected obstacles to proper functioning can be removed in a holistic fashion. This may be psychological obstacles, physiological obstacles, which are health-related, social obstacles, criminal, individual, or group, economic obstacles, political obstacles, spiritual obstacles, negative spirit entities, and so forth. So when we give a food offering, the food in and of itself, every plant, every mineral, every animal, as well as every KA-KAIT human being, all of us are classified according to the Abosom, the divinities that govern us. Some of us are fiery individuals, have a fiery temperament because we are children of fiery Abosom. We carry that fiery energy into the world just like some of your organs have a fiery kind of expression. Some of us are more watery and cool and receptive because we're children of water divinities and so forth. We are children of those deities. We carry that kind of energy into the world just like you have a water fluid system within your body. Plant life, animal life, mineral life, human life, and our people only, we are categorized according to the divinities that govern. So when foodstuffs are fashioned from plant life and mineral life and animal life, then according to the specific divinity and category that they are governed by, because of the divinity that governs them, those food substances carry the energy of those Abosom. So therefore, when you put fire to the food or when you produce the food and when you are about to give it in the form of an offering and you engage in ritual prayer, that ritual prayer activates the energy of because that food is connected to a specific Abosom. It's no different than putting fire to something and releasing the aroma. Putting fire to incense, it releases the aroma. Putting fire to plant life or mineral life or animal life and so forth, cooking, and it releases the aroma. Once the aroma is released, once it gets into your nostrils, it can set in motion physiological changes just by the aroma in and of itself before you even consume the food. Some aromas, of course, can make people nauseous and make them sick and so forth. The key is when you put fire to the food offering or you utilize Mpaibo ritual prayers, that sound vibrations in and of themselves activate the energy that's encoded within the food offering and it's released. You provoke the energy of that category of being and the energy that governs. Once you provoke that energy and it's radiating that energy and you give it to the Abosom or give it to the the spiritually cultivated ancestors and ancestors, the Unsumapo or the Abosom, the divinity, that energy that's being released from that ritual offering provokes the energy of the Abosom, that spirit, provokes the energy of a divinity, then there's a response, a feedback, where they send their energy and respond and communicate directly with you. No different than when you speak and the sound vibrations stimulate the eardrums of somebody, there's a response. They process that energy and then they respond. If you shake somebody and they respond by grabbing you, there's a provocation and then there's a response. When we call on the Abosom, we provoke their energy, utilizing, as we said, provoking the necessary units of energy and frames of reference, conscious awareness, so the units of energy coming from the specific kind of energies that's contained within the food, the plant life or mineral life that makes up the food, or the animal life that makes up the food, the specific units of energy that make up that food stuff, coming from the deity that governs those plants, animals, minerals, and so forth. We provoke that energy within the food stuff through fire or through ritual prayer, as well as through breath and so forth, provoking the energy that's contained within the food stuff. Once the energy is provoked and is radiant, that energy provokes the energy of the Abosom that we're offering the food to, or the Nsaman, the ancestral spirits we are offering the food to. It provokes their energy, and then we receive a response. It magnifies our own projection. This is why we give food offerings. So when we talk about KA and KAIT, the soul, divine consciousness, but then KA and KAIT also mean food or food offerings in ancient Kemet. This is why we're calling our event KA and KAIT. We're going to have raw, vegan, and cooked vegan food vendors. And then, of course, we're also going to have organic coffee, organic tea, and that's going to be great for this time of the year, of course, because it's here in D.C. It got very cold today. It's going to be cold tomorrow, but it's going to warm up on Memenida on Saturday. But it's still going to be cold. So it's probably going to be in the 40s and 50s and so forth, but it's still going to be cold. So that organic coffee, organic tea, and that cooked vegan food is going to feel good once it gets inside the people. So the event is free. The event is open to Aakhuamuman people only, of course. All of our events are free. Wherever we go around the country, whenever we do presentations, lectures, workshops, and so forth, our events are free. We have an event on a monthly basis in Washington, D.C. All of our events are free and open to Aakhuamuman people only. We also give away a free copy of one of our books to everyone who attends our event. We've given away over 1,100 free copies of our softcover books around the country. We're going to continue that process this Saturday, Memenida, at the KA-KAIT Soul Food Gathering. We will be giving away a free copy of our book, The Black Nation and Divinity. We will be doing a presentation on that during the event. So we'll have the vendors. You can patronize the soul food vendors, the raw vegan, cooked vegan food vendors, and so forth. As you're sitting down and eating and so forth, then we will be doing that presentation. Our presentation will be on the Kwesi food. This is happening during the time of the Nehem. The winter solstice is coming up. The winter solstice happening around the 21st of December. It's the time that the sun reaches its lowest arc in the sky, the shortest day of the year. Nehem means motionless, still in the language of ancient Kemet. Nehem means to stop, to be still, nothing's happening. Of course, Nehem, none, or non, like non-elusive, or non-this, or none-this in English. That none, meaning negative or not, comes from Nehem, and root Nehem, and Nun in ancient Kemet, meaning motionless, still, and so forth. It can also refer to something that is dead, motionless, but it also can mean somebody at rest, still, motionless, and so forth. That is the title, Nehem, in ancient Kemet for the winter solstice. The term soul, in the language of the Europeans, a corrupt term, meaning sun, and sis, meaning to stand, meaning the sun is standing still. So it reaches its lowest point in the sky around December 21st. Shortest day of the year, 9 hours of darkness, 9 hours of daylight, 15 hours of darkness. And then a few days later, after it stood still for a couple of days, sunlight begins to increase about a minute or more per day. Around December 25th, the sunlight begins to increase. The sunlight is born. Of course, the sun is born. This is where the white Nile Spring corrupted the notion that God's son is born every December 25th. Of course, we go into detail about that, proving that Jesus never existed, Yeshua never existed, Yeshua ben Kendera never existed, Isa never existed. In our book, Kuku Tuntun, the Ancestral Jurisdiction, We also proved that Muhammad never existed. Allah, Yahweh, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Buddha, Brahman, all these fictional characters never existed. This is where they get the story from. The summer solstice or winter solstice, once it begins to increase after the winter solstice, that is also the feast of Wachet, the coming forth of Wachet. That serpent power reaches its lowest point near that sacral region during the winter solstice, and then Wachet begins to rise after the solstice, the winter solstice, and begins to rise up the spine, and by the time it reaches the highest point in the sky, that's the other feast of Wachet, when she's at the crown of the head and so forth. That serpent power, protection of royal sovereignty that you see on the forehead of the sovereign, along with Nekhebet the vulture, but sometimes it's two serpents. They take the form of two cobras and so forth. So that's the time of her as well. It's also the time of Al-Sars, Al-Set and Heru, as we said. It's also the time just prior to the solstice, which occurs around December 21st. We're having our event on December 17th, and around December 17th or December 18th, depending on the year, that is the beginning of the constellation of the great mother divinity, Neith, the great weaver, primordial mother within the primordial waters and so forth, weaving together the energies that will create the universe and so forth. Neith, along with Kunum or Kunwimu, fashioning, conjoining opposites and so forth, fusing together disparate elements in a harmonious way. Primordial mother, she begins that weaving process. She's also a great archeress, a great huntress and so forth. It starts at her constellation. The whites and offspring call that constellation Sagittarius. When we talk about the real zodiac, the astronomical zodiac, not the tropical zodiac, not the sidereal zodiac, those dates are largely incorrect, over 80%. When you talk about the astronomical zodiac, which actually has 13 signs and not 12, and the days that the sun is in those different constellations are not 30 days each, but they range from 45 days to 7 days. The real zodiac on December 17th or December 18th, depending upon the year, the beginning of the constellation of the great mother Neith, whites and offspring misrepresent as the archer Sagittarius. So prior to the solstice, a few days before the solstice, is the beginning of that time of the great mother Neith. Now, we have conferences throughout the course of the year and events around the autumn equinox, AMANSEM equinox, end of the warm cycle, the beginning of the conception period, September 22nd or September 23rd, depending on the year. That is the evening point of the year, 12 hours of sunlight, 12 hours of darkness, similar to the evening point in the evening when the sun is beginning to set, and crossing the evening point, that balancing point of the day, just like sunrise is the balancing point, sunset is the balancing point, the high point is noon, the low point is midnight, and so forth. In the same fashion, you have that breakdown with regard to the year. Sunrise is akin to spring. The summer solstice is the highest point, the hottest day of the year. Sunset is akin to the evening point, which is the fall, the autumn equinox, the end of the warm period, and then December 21st, the solstice is akin to midnight, and so forth. We have our evening point, the equinox, autumn, September 22nd, September 23rd, the end of the harvest cycle, the beginning of the seeding cycle, the evening point of the year. That's when we have our New Year's celebration. It's the end of the warm cycle, the beginning of the conception cycle, the harvesting time, but also that's why it's a new beginning. So we have our 7-day New Year's celebration from September 16th to the 22nd or September 17th to the 23rd, depending on when the equinox is. The AMANSEM equinox is the first day of our new year. This year was on September 23rd or September 22nd. That was our first day of 13,017. A few months prior to the whites and offspring starting 2017. Of course, we do not calculate time going back to a fictional cartoon character, Jesus, who never existed 2,000 years ago. We're in the midst of a 26,000-year cycle, hence the year beginning with 13,000. So our new year began September 22nd, 13,017. We have our 7-day New Year celebration leading up to that equinox day. So we have that festival. 3 weeks later, we have our Hoodoo Nation Festival. And that Hoodoo Nation Festival, we had on October 16th. That's the Akhan ancestral religion in North America. That's what Hoodoo is. On the other equinoctial point, the spring equinox, around March 20th, March 19th to 20th, depending on the year, that is in the midst of our 13-day Aho observance. And we have our Etchi Sign Conference, Ancestral Religious Reversion. We had the first annual conference last year. That next second annual is coming up this year. That's at the equinoctial point of the year, dealing with ancestral religious reversion, reverting back to our pristine state. Ancestral religious practice, dealing with hoodoo and juju and bodun and the various practices we've maintained in the Western Hemisphere. At the summer solstice, the hottest time of the year, we have our Odwiraman Purified Nation Conference, dealing with nationism, nationism, the purification of nationalism. We had our first annual Odwiraman Conference on June 24th this year, around the summer solstice. So at different points of the year, we have a festival or a conference. September 22nd, the equinoctial point, we have our 7-day New Year celebration leading up to that day. March 21st, or 20th, or 19th, or 20th, at the spring equinoctial point, we have our Etchi Sign Ancestral Religious Reversion Conference. June 21st, 22nd, 23rd, around that time of the summer solstice, at that high point of the year, we have our Odwiraman the Nationism Conference. Then we come around to the summer solstice, this shortest day of the year, at the germination and rooting phase. We have KA-KAIT, the Soul Food Odwiraman Communal Gathering. When the sun sets in the west, or we're at the equinoctial point around autumn, that's a conception period. That's a seeding period. When the sun sets, akin to a seed being planted in the ground. At the harvest time, you gather the fruits, but then it's the seeding time. That's around the equinoctial point of fall. Then when the seed is planted, it begins to germinate, and then the roots go deep down into the darkness of the soil to grab those nutrients from the primordial darkness. That's around December 21st. That's the deep darkness, the darkest time of the year. That's the germination and rooting phase. That's around the summer solstice. And then once the roots dig down deep, then they begin to move upwards and shoot upwards and grow upwards until the point you reach spring, and they explode through the soil and show themselves around the spring equinox. What is manifested above ground is an evidence, manifestation of what was taking place below the surface. So the rooting place happens around this time, and months later, the sprouting time. And then, of course, around June 21st, the full flowering of the plant. And by September 23rd, then you have the fruit falling off the plant and being harvested and so forth, but then the seeds are taken out of the plant at the same time. So we're in the rooting, germination, and rooting phase. After conception, then there's germination and rooting. In between that process of conception and the rooting, in order for it to germinate, there has to be a fusion of disparate elements. This is where Yabosome Neat, the great mother Neat, comes in. She's that primordial mother within the primordial waters inside your body, inside the body of the Akwamu male, Akwamu female, the primordial waters and so forth. You have the sperm cell that swims within the seminal fluid, but the energy within that primordial fluid is governed by the great mother Neat, as well as the great father Kunu or Kunwim. And the same thing with the ovum within the blood and so forth. The ovum is governed by a metric clan divinity, just like the sperm is governed by a patric clan divinity. but they're swimming or floating within the fluid, within the white fluid of the seminal fluid, the red fluid of the blood. Those two fluids meet within the female, the union of the red fluid and white fluid. That's the union of the red crown and the white crown that's fused together on the head of Heru and so forth. That gives him the capacity to rule the upper and lower Kemet. Inside the red fluid and the white fluid is the sperm cell and ovum cell that are governed by patriclan and matriclan divinities respectively. But the fluid in and of itself carries an energy that sustains the sperm cell and ovum cell. The fluid on the feminine side is Ni. On the masculine side is Kunwimu, and they conjoin the disparate elements, conjoin the physical DNA of both parents into a harmonious fusion, but they also conjoin the energy of the patriclan and matriclan divinities in that fusion. The name Kunwimu means the conjoiner, and then you also have Ni. She's the great mother. She's the weaver, and you'll see the weaving shuttle on her head. The conception takes place, the union of the sperm and ovum, then there's a weaving that takes place. This is the time of the great mother Ni. In between that conception and rooting is the weaving time. So it's time for her. So we're weaving things together. We're taking time out, name, standing still, so we can be receptive. And once we become receptive, then we can take those food offerings in and empower ourselves. So we take in the food, but we also gather as an NHOMA, as a nation, as Odwiraman, a communal gathering. And then we offer ritual food as well. We offer ancestral food as well, which is ancestral cosmology. Understanding ancestral cosmology, examining ancestral cosmology in a purified fashion, authentic fashion, so we can incorporate these things and improve our lives, realign ourselves, our spouses, our children, our families, and so forth with order. So this is why we're going to present on the Kemeti Seku, proper contextualizing of Kemet as the ancestral and ritual component of KA-KAIT, African ancestral religious expression. That's what we're going to deal with during that presentation. So people will come in and get the physical food, then we partake of the ancestral wisdom coming from our people. So we're going to deal with, of course, there will be question and answer sessions and so forth. We're going to get into all of that information. Dealing with the Kemeti Seku, just briefly, Seku, as we show on the flyer, is defined in the tree language of the Akhan as an organization association. Our ancestresses and ancestors of ancient KAIT and Kemet, Nubian, Egypt, comprise an ancestral Seku, an ancestral group, an organization, an association, governed by spirit genetic blood circles, who guide us, their Aakhuamuman descendants, throughout our lives. It is a component part of the function of this class of ancestresses and to redirect us to our ancestral clans. Akhan, Yoruba, Igbo, Ebe, Bong, Bang, Basa, Gola, Kisu, Bakango, Mbundu, Obambo, Mindi, etc., from whom we were disaligned during the Musuo Keti, the Great Diversity, the enslavement era. This is key for our people in the Western Hemisphere. Our ancestresses and ancestors of ancient KAIT and Kemet, part of their responsibility is to guide us to our specific ancestral clans so we can know exactly who we are. They do that for us. As we engage the process of Echi-Sign ancestral religious reversion, our people in the Western Hemisphere have been directed by our ancestresses and ancestors of ancient KAIT and Kemet to reconstitute our culture from and upon a pure and firm foundation. We must therefore fully understand the central role of this class of spiritually cultivated ancestresses and ancestors of our direct blood circle. Kemeti Seku, this ancestral class or association, in relation to our restored practice of Akhan, which is the Hoodoo tradition, Yoruba, the Juju tradition in North America, Fon and Ebe, the Voodoo tradition in North America, Bambara, which is the Greek tradition in North America, Gola and Kifu people, the Gullah Geechee tradition, Ovambo, the Wanga tradition, Fang people, the Ngengan tradition, and various other expressions of Aakhuamuman ancestral religion in North America, in the Caribbean and South America, Obia, Kumina, Vodun, Lukumi, Winti, Candomblé, and so forth, as well as our ancestral traditions on the continent. The Kamesi Feku, ancestresses and ancestors of our ancient blood circles, they are the same people. We are the same people. We're the exact same people who lived in ancient Kainit and Kemet. We migrated to the western part of the continent and other parts. Some of us were taken from those areas, forced into the Western Hemisphere. We worship the same deity by the same name. They still possess our people. They still communicate with our people. They still teach us just like they have done for thousands of years. There's no separation from the quote-unquote Kemetic tradition and our tradition expressions wherever we exist. The Kemeti tradition, ik is a European linguistic suffix, which is not part of our language. So it's really Kemeti, the Kemeti Feku, the Kemeti tradition is manifest and is expressed in our various traditions all over the continent. We are the same people. And our various traditions in the Western Hemisphere. We are the exact same people. So we need to properly contextualize Kemet within ancestral religious practice as a ritual component. So that's what we're going to be dealing with in that presentation this Saturday, rooted in our book Kemet, in our Nsoro, where we properly define the term Kemet, as well as the term Nsoro, misnomer Netter, showing how that term exists in the Akhan language. Both terms exist in the Akhan language with the exact same meaning. They also exist in the Hoodoo tradition in North America, the Akhan tradition in North America. We continue to maintain these names and ritual practice unbroken for thousands of years and across continents. So that's what we're going to get into on Memenida on Saturday. Now, before we finish up, if anybody has any questions or comments in the chat room, you can send those questions or comments. If you have a question or a comment on the phone line, simply hit the number 1 so we can see that your hand is raised, and then we can answer that question. So when you look on the KA-KAIT page, when you go to our GUAMU KASA page on the website, you'll see you can download the flyer, the PDF for the event. When you go to our Odwiraman.spruce.com, Odwiraman.spruce.com, SPRUZ.com. We have our own separate social media network that we pay for outside of Facebook and Twitter and everything else. You can join that site. You can register for the conference there or the event there, or you can register on Facebook on our event notification. We must have our own separate social media platforms. Of course, Facebook and other platforms will shut you down whenever they feel like it and post too much information that's African-centered and so forth. So we must have our own autonomous platform. This is a social media network. It's similar in structure to Facebook. You can create a profile, you post videos, blogs, discussions, photos, events, notifications, and so forth. People can interact with one another here in this country, around the world. Our people only, of course, wherever we exist in the world, we're studying the same information. People are connecting, networking, and so forth, engaging in economic activity as well as connecting on cultural events in their cities and so forth. So you can join that network, Odwiraman.spruce.com, the Odwiraman Purified Nation Network. As we said, register for the event there, as well as on Facebook, the event notification, just click if you're definitely going to attend. Click will be attending, going, and so forth, so we can know we have a count of how many people approximately will be coming out. And then you can download the flyer. Of course, please share that information. We also have the KA-KAIT page on our website. The KA-KAIT page on the website, on Facebook, so you can see the information. You can see some detailed information. We also post broadcasts, links to the books and so forth all those different things on that page. So you can become up to date and get some detailed information about what we will be talking about. We will be recording the information as well for those who are not able to make it. Also tonight, as we said last night, this is the final day of our weekly broadcast. So this is the end of our broadcasting week broadcast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. As we mentioned last night into today is the final day for the special sale that we are having on our books. We have our 24 books. We have one is going to be released in the next few days, making it number 24. We have the special sale for our 23-book set, and we will include that 24th book for those who purchase. A special sale, today is the last day. It started this Monday. This was for the lead-up to the KA-KAIT event. Special sale for the entire 23-book set, $100, which includes shipping. It's $91 plus $9 for shipping. That $91 includes the entire 24-book set. That special sale that we're having. This is a means by which we're able to raise funds to assist in covering the expenses, including the free book giveaway. So we're giving away a free copy of our books to everyone who attends the event. As we said earlier, we give away books every time we present in any city wherever we go. Sometimes our people do not have funds to purchase books and so forth. Sometimes our people are not working and so forth. We're not going to deny them the ability to come to an event or purchase a book because they don't have, or learn anything because they don't have money at the time. All of our events are free and open to Afro-Kani people only. We always give away a free copy of one of our books at every event. So we're going to do the same thing here. And of course, anytime people make a purchase or a donation, that assists us in order, enables us to print out these free books and give them out to the community. We recognize the information that we have published is critical for our people to rise, learning about these fictional cartoon characters and rejecting Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Moorishism, all that nonsense, and returning to ancestral religious practice. We have our workshops dealing with Akwamu Kasa and a ritual method to overcome substance abuse, addiction. We talked about Aakhuamuman, domestic abuse neutralization last night. We have that workshop and training for that, a ritual method to overcome the programmed acceptance of that and so forth. We have our Odwiraman Manhood workshop where we give away a free copy of the Odwiraman Manhood book, transforming the lives of our young men as well as older males and so forth. We have a number of different training, workshops, and publications. We give these things away for free, so when you make a purchase, you assist us in being able to do that so we can get this information out to our people, spread this information for those who don't have funds or for those who may not be attuned to the information at first, may be apprehensive. And once they receive a free book, they're willing to take that, and when they study and realize how important the information is, they're gratified. They were able to get sometimes people have presentations. They charge people $20 to get in or $25 to get in. You pay $25 just to hear somebody give a speech, the same speech they gave on YouTube. Then they also charge you for the book that they're selling or the DVD that they're selling of themselves giving the same speech. They charge you for that as well. So you may end up spending $40 or $50 just to hear someone speak, no different than what they have done on YouTube for a number of years. You come to our events. The events are free. You also receive a free book in the process. We have 24 books out dealing with different subject matter in detail and groundbreaking research, dealing with subjects that scholars, black or white, have not yet uncovered, things that we have uncovered, including things like the origin of the term Africa, Aakhuamuman, the origin of the term God, goddess, people misusing the term nigger, talking about it means God and divine, which is not as idiotic. We have our Kokobo book talking about dissexuality, homosexuality was never accepted in ancient Kemet. We show the text in ancient Kemet dealing with the divine prohibition against dissexuality, homosexuality. Everybody needs that book. Men, women, and children to fight against this assault being waged against our community, the promotion of dissexuality, homosexuality, and so forth. We have a workshop dealing with that. We give that book away for free as well. We have a Cocoa Boat movement dealing with that, so we can give away thousands of free copies of that book. The ebook version of that book and all of our 24 books are free downloads permanently. So people download our books by the thousands every month. But then the softcover versions we give away for free as well. So these different programs, when you purchase, you're assisting us in that process. So if you'd like to go to the take advantage of that sale, tonight is the last day of that sale. The entire 24-book set for $100. You'll see that on the publication page. So we're going to look in the chat room. Again, if some people just joined on the phone line, if you have any questions or comments, hit the number 1 so we can see that your hand is raised. And we can look in the chat room real quick. We can post the link for the link directly to the publications page, which is the NHOMA page on our website. And we also want to place the link to the social media network, our separate social media network that we have created specifically for Aakhuamuman people so we can interact with one another without being censored by the whites and their offspring. So that is odwiraman.spruce.com. We have that as well. Okay, AMANSEM, and what's different with our AMANSEM broadcast on Yada Thursday night is just an hour broadcast dealing with current events, what's taking place within the community, how it impacts us, current news and so forth, and a nationist perspective and Amani perspective on how to deal with these things and incorporate proper strategies to move forward. But then we also talk about the events coming up that are nourishing to our people. So as opposed to our other 3 broadcasts, which are 2-hour broadcasts, very often going 2.5 hours or more, with AMANSEM is affairs of the nation. So we wanted to update the Oman this minute once again. Saturday, December 17th, is our KA-KAIT Soul Food event, our Odwiraman Communal Gathering here in Washington, D.C. Free event, open to Aakhuamuman people only. We will also be doing a presentation, giving away a free copy of our book. We will have raw vegan food, cooked vegan food vendors, organic coffee, organic tea. We look forward to connecting with all of Odwiraman, the purified nation, Aakhuamuman people in the Western Hemisphere. Please share the information with your contacts. We'd like as many of our people to come out and take part in the event for those who can. And, of course, we will be having more events. We have different events in different cities, different presentations in different cities, workshops, lectures, and so forth. So we'll be updating you on that as well. So we're going to end the broadcast here. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email on our regular website. Send us messages on Facebook, Kwesi Akhan on Facebook, Odwirafo Akhan on Facebook. We are also Odwirafo on Twitter, Instagram. You can follow us here on the channel, on the Blog Talk Radio channel as well, so you can get all of the updates and join our Odwiraman network. So again, we thank you for tuning in to the broadcast, and we will see you in a minute. See you Saturday at the KA-KAIT event. We thank you for tuning in, and we will meet again. That's it.